Now, I'd like to make special note of some union officials here. Roger Sandbrook and Adrian Williams. Welcome, guys. Now, must declare an interest here. They're one of my unions. I'm a service provider to them, or my firm is anyway. These blokes have got the temerity, the absolute temerity to believe that because they've got more members amongst the auxiliaries than the official monopoly union, that it should be they and not the monopoly union with far fewer members who should be negotiating their industrial relations to EBA. Haven't they got to hide? How dare the workers be making this choice instead of the coterie of monopoly unions, which is what happens at present. Let me now introduce our first speaker, Judith Sloan.
I mean, I always thought the old laws were kind of based on an assumption that every employer is a bastard and every employee is basically helpless. Now you think about that, that is just not the real world. And of course the basic principle is this, that there should be freedom of contract, because we have to assume that the parties to a bargain, the parties to an agreement, are those that are best placed to judge what's in their interests.
Now to introduce to you all a man who all of you know, which is the Honourable Peter Reith.
If there's any policy that is at the epicentre of the conflict, of the fight, you know, the constant argy-bargy between the Liberal Party, the coalition parties and the Labor Party, it's all about industrial relations. When employers and employees sit down and work out what they want to do, they should have the right between them to work out what sort of agreement they want to have. If they want to have a collective agreement, a union agreement, a non-union agreement, an individual agreement which is all the same but, you know, individual for each one. Whatever they want to do, they should be able to do what suits the business. I mean, for heaven's sakes, it's just obvious, isn't it? I mean, isn't it common sense? Who knows best how to run a business? Well, I tell you what, it's not some ACTU official in Bourke Street in Melbourne, that's for sure.
And we'll ask the question and we'll get the speakers up here to speak loudly into the microphone so they can hear them.
Roger Sandbrooks from the Quaffer. Yeah, to Peter and
Judy.
We're probably on the other side of the boot. We're not a union, we are an association. And we represent 2,000 firefighters through Queensland that look after all the smaller communities. Now, up until 5 years ago, we had a very good agreement with the Queensland Fire and Rescue Service and the Queensland Government. But when all this industrial relations come in and the auxiliaries were getting a little bit stronger, the union decided that they wanted to take us over. So they went and got industrial related to represent auxiliaries, which we still hold the majority of the members, and the organisations won't talk to us. So this is the position that we're under, and that's why we've employed Graham. So I've been in motels, we've had health retreats and all, I've employed people, so I've been on that side of it. And I've had 50 years as an auxiliary firefighter. And I just feel that unions shouldn't be running an organisation like ours. I don't know what everyone else thinks, or Peter.
You know, the interesting thing about the regulations of industrial relations in respect to trade unions is that they basically grant monopoly status to a select number of trade unions, registered trade unions. And they do that through the device called the conveniently belong to rule. So once a trade union is registered, then a competing trade union cannot basically be registered because it will not meet the tests of conveniently belong to. In other words, there is a union to which those members could conveniently belong to, and therefore you effectively have these monopoly arrangements. That monopolies are bad and monopolies misbehave. So again, here's another angle we kind of have to fight for. Competitive unionism, would it be a great thing? It would help you, I think, Because the idea that there is an alternative union which doesn't have many members and doesn't represent your interests is really very bizarre when you think about it in a free society.
Well, thank you, speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming.